All right, the North Hunterdon-Voorhees Regional High School District Board of Education meeting for Tuesday, October 20th, 2020 is now called to order. In accordance with the requirements of the Open Public Meetings Act, NJSA 1046, adequate notice provided by posting of notice at North Hunterdon High School and Voorhees High School, delivery by facsimile to the Hunterdon County Democrat, Star Ledger, municipal clerks of Bethlehem Township, Calipon Borough, the town of Clinton, Clinton Township, Franklin Township, Glen Gardner Borough, Hampton Borough, Highbridge Borough, Lebanon Township, Tewksbury Township, and Union Township, as well as other interested parties. Fire exits are located in the direction indicated. If alerted to fire, please move in a calm and orderly fashion to the nearest smoke-free exit. At this time, please silence all cell phones. Katie, can we have a roll call, please?
Ms. Bonomi?
Here.
Ms. Salino?
Here.
Mr. Roll?
Here.
Ms. Dietrich?
Here.
Ms. Crisologo?
Here.
Mr. Mielek?
Here.
Ms. Hintz?
Here.
Ms. Fioto?
Here.
Mr. Straight?
Here.
Ms. Richards?
Here.
Ms. McLaughlin?
Here.
And Mr. Kirchberger.
Here. All right, if everyone could please rise for the flag salute.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Your audio coming out of your computer, not your headphones. All right, so before we get started here, I just wanted to go over a few housekeeping. We have board members and public that are in the room here at the main gym at North Hunterdon, and there are board members and members of the public watching via YouTube and watching via the Zoom. I would ask that for those of us that are in the room and for those that are online, please remember to keep your microphones muted when not speaking, as it will improve the audio quality for everyone. And with that, we will start with agenda item number 4, which is a call. I need a motion and a second to approve agenda item 4.1, which is the minutes of the September 22nd, 2020 school board meeting. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Motion by Roger, second.
Second.
Second by Kim. Motion by Roger, second by Kim. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed or abstentions? All right, motion carries. Thank you. And I will now turn it over to Mr. Bender for the Chief School Administrator's report.
Thank you. We had 3 racist Zoom bombing incidents this month, 2 at North and 1 at Voorhees, where individuals using aliases were erroneously admitted to Zoom classroom meetings and inappropriate comments were made. These incidents serve as a clear reminder that racism exists in our community and we must redouble our efforts to address it. To that end, we are implementing a new Zoom email authentication protocol that will only allow users with nhvweb.net email addresses to enter classroom Zoom meetings. We are also implementing training to better prepare staff to address these incidents. In all 3 cases, local law enforcement was provided with the IP addresses of those responsible for the comments, and subpoenas are being sought to identify the offenders. We will continue to work with the community to seek ways to eliminate racism and hate crime from our schools. In regards to our ongoing efforts to stop hate speech and racism in our district, our administrators and lead teachers will be participating in the second part of the unconscious bias training, with Dr. Christopher Irving on October 26th. Additionally, both schools are implementing the No Place for Hate program by the Anti-Defamation League. This is a self-directed program helping schools take the lead on improving and maintaining school climates so all students can thrive. Committees will be meeting soon to identify goals and programming for the school year. If the program's components are met, the Anti-Defamation League can designate our schools as No Place for Hate. As an update on COVID-19 cases to date for our district, we have had 4 positive cases at North Hunterdon High School and 0 at Voorhees. The health department completed contact tracing within 24 hours, and the individuals identified as close contacts, meaning within 6 feet for more than 10 minutes, were contacted and have quarantined. I want to thank our administrators and the health department for working together to identify these individuals and stop the spread of the virus. I also want to thank our families for their ongoing cooperation with completing the pre-screening and keeping us updated on anyone with symptoms or COVID-19. This ongoing cooperation and support will help us to keep schools open. I did receive communication from the Hunterdon County Health Department today, and they notified us that if a positive test result for a student or staff member in the school is received after 5 p.m., we will have to close the following day for contact tracing, and will be virtual that day. That's all I have in that report. For harassment, intimidation, and bullying, we had 1 incident investigated, and it was found it was unfounded. That was at Voorhees. Can I have a motion affirming the findings from September that there were no HIB incidents?
So moved.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that works better. Any discussion? Any discussion? All in favor? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you. I was trying my ventriloquist act, and that doesn't work without.
Also, I just wanted to let the board know that for the founded case, there will be a summary of that investigation, the findings in the board folder for your consideration prior to next month's meeting. Also tonight, we have a review of the class of 2020's Proficiency Pathways Report in Math and English Language Arts. This is a new requirement from the Department of Education that we report out how students are meeting their graduation requirements, whether they're taking a standardized test or portfolio or an alternate demonstration of proficiency. For North Hunterdon-Voorhees, approximately 95% of our students met their graduation requirements through standardized tests, and about 5% were through portfolios or alternate graduation requirements. And the monthly reports are attached for your information. That's it.
All right, thank you. So now on to my report. So first, I'd like to welcome, and it's my pleasure to introduce the new student representatives to the Board of Education. So so now on to I think this is a great addition, and we look forward to your perspective and your input and your contributions to our meetings going forward. And thank you for being the pilot representatives of North and Voorhees to the Board of Education. So I'd first like to introduce Emma. Hunterdon is Grace Berger. Emma and Grace are here in the room with us. And then I'd also like to introduce the board of Van Wieren and Corinne is in the room with us here, and the alternate Evan Rodriguez is on the meeting via Zoom. So if it's okay, I understand you have brief introductions prepared, and I think this would be a great time if you could introduce yourselves to the rest of the board. Start with Emma.
Hi, like Mr. Kirchberger said, my name is Emma McDevitt. Just a little bit about me and how I'm involved in the school. I am the class secretary for the senior class. I'm also the secretary for the National Honor Society. I'm involved in 4 other honor societies, as well as the captain of the girls wrestling and girls lacrosse team. I'm involved in other clubs such as like Interact. I'm the leader for the Fellowship of Christian Athletes. And I have a little bit in each area of North. So I'm looking forward to providing feedback to you guys and hopefully doing the best that I can to get you an idea of what the student body is feeling. So.
Thank you, Emma. All right, Grace, do you want to go next?
Hi, I'm Grace Carter. Like Emma, I'm on the senior executive board. I'm the treasurer. So far, we've been working on a lot of stuff this year for trying to change events to work around the COVID-19 and scheduling, and I'm very happy to be here. I'm also on National Honor Society, and I participate in a couple other English Honor Society and Science Honor Society. And I'm very happy to be here. And if you have any questions for us, feel free. We are very willing to provide feedback for you guys. So thank you.
Thank you very much. And Corinne.
Hi, everyone. My name is Corinne Van Weeren, and I know it looks like Karen, but I share you with Corinne. I am the Voorhees Senior Class President, running 3 years now, and hopeful FBLA, Future Business Leaders President. There's no one running against me, so here's to hoping I actually get it. I'm involved in a few sports at Voorhees, despite their seasons being pushed back, and a few other clubs like Key Club, SHIP, and the one that donates blood, Lifesavers. I'm happy to be here and thankful for this opportunity to be the first ever student representative. Even though we are kind of like guinea pigs, I think this will be a great opportunity to get a different perspective on issues in the schools. And I'm thank you all for giving me this opportunity.
Welcome, and you guys are going to make great guinea pigs. So thanks for volunteering. And last but not least, on the Zoom call is Evan. So Evan, if you could unmute and introduce yourself. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Evan Rodriguez. I'm the senior class vice president. I'm also involved in the National Honor Society. I am part of the fencing team and the drama club, and a whole bunch of different other clubs involved in the school. And thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm very thankful to be here.
Thank you very much, Evan, and welcome. So again, thank you all to all of our student representatives. We appreciate in advance your contributions and look forward to your participation. A couple other announcements before I get to the couple of items that are left here. I want to just take another opportunity, and I don't think this can be said too much. I mentioned it last month, but I'll mention it again tonight. Just our sincere appreciation for the staff and administration and all the in-building personnel over the time that we've been in school. I don't think it can be repeated too many times how much we've through to make this school year a success. And it doesn't go unnoticed by anybody here. I don't think. I think I speak unanimously for the board that it's a great job that everyone's doing to make the best situation for our students, and we just thank you and look forward to a continued successful year in this unique situation we're in and this unique model. So I just wanted to convey that appreciation, and I don't think we can say it enough. So back to some continued announcements. Our next school board meeting is November 17th. It's a regular board meeting at 7 p.m. It'll be here in the main gym at North Hunterdon High School again. And my expectation is it'll also be broadcast online as well. We also have some committees that need to be formed. So two of them, one's listed here on the agenda, but I wanted to mention another one as well. So we to nominate candidates for the role of board president and vice president for 2021. So I just wanted to discuss that a little bit, and then we can take volunteers for that if they could email that to me, and then we'll form that committee next month. But just in just some of the quick highlights about that particular committee and vice president. There are 3 members that are on it. One will be the chairman. There's some kind of unique conditions to this committee, to participating in this committee. So none of the 3 members of the nominating committee can be from the president or vice president's municipality. So that is one limitation. Each of the 3 members of the nominating committee shall be from a different municipality, and the chairman of the committee has to have a term of office as a board member which continues into the succeeding year. So it can't be somebody who's up for re-election this fall. So with those as the kind of ground rules for it, and those are listed in board policy 152. If you are interested in participating in the nominating committee, if you could email me, and then we will form that committee and communicate that at next month's meeting. Okay, any questions on that? All right, the other committee that I'm looking to get a handle on volunteers is that we need to form the negotiation committee to go into the Education Association agreement. So if you're interested in participating in the negotiation committee, please send me an email on that as well. And that is a regular committee, so it doesn't have the same limitations that I just described for the nomination committee, but it is capped by all the regular caps around committee participation. So just have to keep it below a quorum. And so if you're interested in participating in that committee, please email me and we'll form that committee for next month as well. All right, any questions?
Rob, you might want to mention the time commitment of the negotiation committee. There's a.
Oh, sorry. Is that...
No, it's just it's Jessica. Sorry, but there is a time commitment that is beyond normal committee hours and could extend on certain periods of time late into the night.
Thanks, Jess. And Jess and John were on that committee previously, so hoping that they'll be on it. They'll be volunteering to be on it again for some continuity. But that negotiation committee is has a specific focus and a specific purpose, and for the period of time that it's active, it can be quite time consuming. That being said, it's an important role. Thanks, Jess.
No problem.
All right, that is all I have for the school board president's report. We'll now turn it over to the committee reports, and we'll start from my right. So, John, do you want to start with the Finance, Facilities, and Transportation Committee?
Sure, thank you very much, and I'll do my best to deal with this delay that I know you're struggling through. But anyway, yes, we met on the 8th. First of all, some facility projects that are either ongoing or wrapping up. The Voorhees Bridge repairs are complete. At both high schools, the bathrooms are complete. The plaza here at North Hunterdon is in its final stages, and just a final inspection is remaining. The solar projects, they were approved by Clinton Township Planning Board earlier in the month. Designs being finalized, and the work is being scheduled to be done over the winter. The ESIP lighting upgrades will begin later in October, and that work will be completed in the afternoons after school is out. So the contractors won't, they'll be staying clear of the students. The mold issue that we had earlier in the year in August up at Voorhees, we've had some discussions whether or not we need additional insurance coverage specifically for mold. We're still going to discuss that further. An additional item, there's been some challenges over the past year. As you may recall, we switched to ADP for our payroll processing throughout the district, and that was implemented a year ago. There's some challenges there, so there's some serious discussions to bring that back in-house using existing software and personnel that we already have. So that those discussions will be finalized at our next committee meeting and with a recommendation next month. And I know the administration, the architect have been working on the long-range facilities plan update, which they will share with us next month, and then we can point out some highlights to the rest of the board. And also this month's committee report, we started some preliminary discussions on this year's budget. Obviously, the big drivers on that are the annual increases to our guide, as well as benefits increases that we deal with every year. One item that's going to be a new wrinkle this year, some of you may be aware of it, is some legislation that was passed. The educator health plan is going to become available to employees effective January 1. This is a new healthcare plan that's offered due to the state's passing of Chapter 44, which is an effort to provide paycheck relief from Chapter 78 for employees. So that's something that's a wrinkle that we've been planning on, but we'll see how that rolls out this winter. So that's all I have. Anybody has any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them or point you in the right direction to Katie or Mr. Bender.
I have a question.
Sure.
Could you just give an overview then for business office staffing? Because we were paying consultants before with this whole payroll process. And so do we still have consultants, or those are all done?
Well, I'm going to defer that. I mean, as far as the consultants that came in weren't there for payroll. They were there really to, I guess, upright everything as Katie transitioned into this new role. So the ADP issue is different from the consultants. I'm curious myself to the answer about the consultants. I believe they were all wrapped up. But Katie?
They are. With the addition of the assistant BA over the summertime, they were here just for some transition, and they are complete at this point. The consultants were really to help the business office at a time where there was a retirement and 2 major positions leaving. So they did give us that support in the winter of last year and then through the spring. You're welcome.
Any other questions for John regarding the Finance Committee report? All right, seeing none, we'll turn it over to Tom for the Policy Committee report.
Thank you. Yes, we met on October 8th. You'll see there's 5 second readings from last month. And then what we went over In addition, were just the corresponding regulations to go with those policies so that they'll be read in this evening alongside each other. Then we also looked at the personnel record retention, one, because there was some question as to whether we were under any kind of liability if we happen to keep things a little longer. Doesn't seem like there's really anything that we're on the hook for with regard to that. So that's in here for a first reading as well. You'll see 8320. Then we also did a review of the policy 1240 and the corresponding regulation. That is a regulation that the board is responsible, one of the few that the board is responsible for writing. So that we're going to look at a revised language during the next meeting in November. And then during the November meeting, we will have a policy update for that for you guys to look at and discuss. We discussed looking at, as we were talking about at the board meeting, what we can do about the social media. Strauss Estimate does not have any type of a policy with regard to school names and logos on social media, and it's kind of an intellectual property issue. There's not a whole lot we can do about it, unfortunately, because as a public entity, we don't have the same rights as far as restricting it on social media. So it's really not a very enforceable thing, and it would be very expensive to even try to enforce if we wanted to pursue anything of the kind. Then as far as the ad hoc committee for the District Hall of Fame, we were set to meet on the 15th, and we did come to order, but we decided to postpone that until November as a couple of the members had conflicts. So we're going to look for a date in November to pick that up, and start a way to form the Hall of Fame. What we had discussed briefly, though, was to have, which I believe is addressed in the first article of just kind of the template, to have just separate halls for the two schools, because it would be very difficult for someone to be district-wide in their contribution. So that was touched upon. But that was pretty much it. If anyone has any questions about anything. All right, thank you.
Any questions for Tom or the policy committee with regard to his report? Okay. Seeing none,
thanks.
well, thank you, Tom. Next up, Rachel, for the curriculum committee.
Thanks. The curriculum committee met last week. We
Thank you.
discussed several action items. The first being the current present hybrid model, and about 30% right now across the district of students are in an all virtual model. We discussed moving forward into the next marking period. The parents were surveyed about the schedule, and the majority felt that we should stick with the same cohorts. So at this point, we will be having the same cohorts in the next marking period. We got a social justice update. Mickey Fallon has presented to all students virtually in September, and Dr. Chris Irving was giving a follow-up presentation later this month, actually next week, on unconscious bias. We discussed the proposal for an African American history elective course next year, and we discussed how we can infuse various texts into the English curriculum throughout the district. This is an important topic that we will continue to focus on and update you as we have additional progress on this topic. And we should be coming to you in November with a course proposal. The district staff are continuing to review books that they can add to the curriculum and develop proposals that they will also be bringing to the curriculum committee. There was a discussion about next year's school calendar, but due to some changes at the state level with snow days, we will not be proposing anything until next month. We also received the graduation pathways report, which looked at the students in the class of 2020 and their demonstrated proficiencies in math and English language arts. But as we know, because of the pandemic, there was an executive order that allowed students to graduate even if they had not demonstrated proficiency. And this information should be in the monthly report. We also discussed the new benchmark assessment called Link It that we will be using with students to assess them in math and English language arts. All students were given a benchmark assessment. This is an assessment that will look at their current levels of achievement and then monitor them through the winter and spring to see how they're progressing through various standards in our curriculum. We also briefly reviewed some potential proposals to changes in the curriculum for course additions. So the committee in November will be looking at an African American history and influence class, an introduction to theater class, transitional skills, social studies, 4 science, 4 math, 4 proposals, and creating models for using digital tools. These proposals will again be discussed at the curriculum, and we will bring them forward as they're finalized. We have started this year a monthly data analysis at the curriculum committee, which every month provides a different data set of us of particular areas to look at. This month we reviewed the 5-year NJSLA Park math data. There was no math data in 1920 because of the closure. So we continue to look at ways to increase our student achievement based on various data points. That is my report. Can I have, anyone have any questions?
Thank you, Rachel. Anyone have questions for Rachel or the curriculum committee? Thank you for that comprehensive report. A lot of ground covered at the curriculum committee meeting. So thank you, Rachel. Next up, we have Tara, committee report.
Thank you. The Community Relations and Student Affairs Committee met on Thursday, October 15th. The items on our agenda were touched upon by Mr. Bender and Rachel. Our first agenda item had been the recent bias incidences that had occurred anonymously through the Zoom. And as Mr. Bender had stated in his report, between Zoom enhanced security and staff training, we are hopeful that this will never happen again. A second agenda item had been the anti-bias initiatives that Mr. Bender also mentioned, and Rachel regarding Dr. Christopher Irving. That's scheduled for Monday, October 26th, and it's the program that's No Place for Hate. And through the process, the goal is that we will be hopefully awarded through the Anti-Defamation League a No Place for Hate school. So that will be happening on Monday, next Monday, October 26th. The third agenda item that we had was regarding the football live stream broadcasts. We had secured the services of a professional videographer to live stream the football games because of COVID and not being able to have full participation on students and parents and the community. But due to poor services and mistakes, the professional videographers that were hired have been let go. And we've appointed, both schools have student athletic video teams that will be taking over for the following games till the end of the season. The video will be tied directly with the announcer's audio, and the score will be displayed on the screen so that the community and the students and parents can watch via the internet because they can't be on site. Mr. Kirchberger had brought up about if there had been any extra tickets that are not being used by parents from the program that we have in place where the players are getting tickets. And so we're looking into a program to give back any tickets that aren't going to be used so that other parents or students and other spectators might be able to participate in the live games. So that's in process right now. And the hope was that any given back tickets will be known by Wednesday or Thursday prior to a home game by that Friday so they can be given out. And then the other item that we talked about is that Maren Smigala had mentioned that with the upcoming Thanksgiving and fall recess, that there is a travel advisory reminder within the state. And so we discussed the reminder for all teachers and students that if they're going to be traveling out of state during this time, that if they are traveling to a state that's within the travel advisory, that they will have to quarantine for 14 days upon their return to New Jersey, and that those students will be on virtual instructions during that quarantine, so not to interrupt their education. And then the last item that we discussed was regarding the 21-22 district calendar, and it's being developed, but it's being held off because that the state may be implementing, the Department of Education may be releasing guidance soon regarding virtual instruction for snow days. The staff had preferred snow days be built into the school year instead of us stacking them at the end of the year and taking away from graduation backwards. So we're waiting on our calendar to finalize as we're looking for guidance from the Department of Education. And then the last item that had been discussed and Mr. Bender had talked about was the upcoming, the recent COVID cases at both high schools and the new policy from the Department of Health. If a student tests positive after 5 p.m., then we will have to close school. But up until then, we've been working hand in hand with the Department of Health and doing an excellent job on contact tracing so we can stay in session. And that's all we have. Any questions? Talking with a mask is very difficult.
I have a question, and I
Anyone have
feel like it kind of fits in here. There was a case where a student, and I don't know if it's a North Hunterdon student, but it was a student that took the SATs and tested positive for COVID, and parents were notified. I have a friend who has a student that does not go to this district, but the student took the SAT in this building. So my question is, students who are not North students that come here to maybe take the PSATs or the SATs, do we have a health protocol in place? Are they screened prior to entering our buildings? And was the student that took that test, was that a North Hunterdon student or a student from another district?
It was a North Hunterdon student. Everybody is screened prior to coming in, and that student, all the contact tracing had already been completed, and anybody who was in that classroom at the SAT that was within close contact had been quarantined. So when College Board put out that letter just stating that somebody had tested positive, it was very vague on the details, and it did create a lot of commotion, but everybody who needed to be quarantined had been quarantined, and the kids are screened prior to coming in.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Tara. Anyone questions for Tara? Thank you.
Hi, thank you, Rob. Okay, thank you, Rob. So the Personnel Committee met on Wednesday, October.
Shelley with the personnel.
Can you hear me? Oh, okay. I'm sorry. So the Personnel Committee met October 14th virtually. Okay, we reviewed the personnel agenda. We also reviewed the school safety specialist job description. The committee felt the current job description was adequate, and therefore there are no recommendations. And so on the website for the job description, the review date of October 2020 will reflect. And also we discuss employee retention. We will be researching on how our district compares to our neighboring districts in regards to employee retention. And that's pretty much all I have.
Thank you, Shelley. Any questions for Shelley?
No. Oh.
All right, thank you very much. I think that wraps the committee reports, unless I missed anything. Nope, looking around. All right, thank you. Thank you all, the committee chair people. We will now turn to the opportunity for public comment. During this portion of the meeting, the public is invited to address the school board with questions or comments. The public is requested to sign the register provided for this purpose and to state their name, address, and direct their comments to the school board president. While all comments will be considered and a response will be forthcoming if and when appropriate, school board members will not respond to the speakers at the time of their appearance. a public comment period will be a maximum of will be allocated for anyone in the room who would like to make a public comment. I think we have a separate table and a computer that you can approach as if it were a podium and make your public comments at that station. And for those that are virtually and watching via the YouTube broadcast, instructions or to access the meeting via telephone. You will be admitted, you'll be in a waiting room, and you'll select you to that. Has worked to only varying degrees in the past, so we'll see how it works this time. So we'll start with people who are in the room. Is there anybody in the room who would like to make a public comment? All right, thank you. You can, Dee might be able to address, and the floor is yours.
Can you hear me sufficiently? Yeah. Okay, great. Hi, my name is Jessica.
You might have to.
Say it again.
You might have to speak up just a little bit, actually. You might have to speak up. You might have to speak up a little because it's hard to hear you from this far away.
I think people in the room will be able to hear me speaking without the microphone. If you
Yeah, good. Yep.
I'm a pretty loud talker. So my name is Jessica Avalone. I'm from Lebanon Township, and I have 3 current students in Voorhees High School. So first of all, I want to say thank you to everyone here. I know it's been incredibly difficult to keep a school running during these really challenging times. And really, we do appreciate what you're doing, and we appreciate public school. My husband and I have been huge proponents of public school. And like I said, we know that it's really difficult to keep the kids in school. I also want to thank you for taking feedback from the parents. I know this past spring, there were a lot of comments about it being difficult for students to have kind of free form schedules and not have daily interaction with the teachers. And I do feel that the schedule this fall, where they start every day at 7:30, as well as the fact that they interact with their teachers during every period, has been a tremendous improvement. I'm here today to ask for additional options for in-person learning. I know there are a lot of people that prefer virtual learning, whether because they have personal health problems or because they don't want to wear a mask, or even because maybe they're worried about the commuting or other things. My students personally, my through students, really prefer in-person learning. And there are a couple of reasons for in-person learning that we prefer. One is because of the academic piece of in-person learning. They find it easier to listen to the teachers and to understand what's being seen on the board when they're in person. The second reason they prefer in-person learning is because of the relationships they're able to form, both with the teachers and with other students. And doing that from home in front of a Zoom board is really much more challenging. And the third one, which is most important to me, has to do with their mental health. So those of you who have teenagers might know in the spring that we had a lot of kids doing school in their pajamas. So I had kids that didn't get dressed for days in a row. And as much as I told them it's important to get up and get out of bed, they didn't always. So we had kids sometimes doing school from their bed with their pillows in the background, being isolated in their rooms. And for some students, that's really challenging, including my own. So the next question I know you're all going to ask is, how do you do that practically? Because you want to maintain social distance and be safe. I know that's a first priority. Ms. Hintz told us that about 30% of students are virtual 100% of the time. And if that's the case, and our original plans were to have half the students in school at a time, we could probably come up with some different schedules. So these are really bright kids. They did this rotating drop block schedule with A through D. I remember the middle school counselor going over the rotating block schedule with us. And we could do something like take the remaining 70% of students and break them into 3 groups. And then, certain students, maybe 2/3 of them, which would still be less than 50%, could come on week A, 2/3 could come on week B, and 2/3 could come on week C. That would be one way to get more students in the classroom in the physical building who might benefit from in-person learning. Another way you could do it would be to take a survey. So I think the board recently did a survey where you asked, do you want to split A through L and M through Z? I think parents really appreciate being able to give feedback. And it's possible if you asked a survey that there would be people who didn't want to do every week. They might want to retain their hybrid, or they might want to retain fully virtual. So you could ask parents if there were enough people that would be willing to be fully virtual or hybrid, and the remaining students who wanted to be in person could be in person. I know we're all doing the best we can to make our children be able to be productive members of society, to educate them academically, and most importantly, to take care of their physical and their mental well-being. And for my students, I think their physical well-being, getting out of bed, and even just going up and down the stairs in the high school is vastly improved. Their academic learning and their ability to interact with others, and in the future, therefore, learn and contribute to society is better when they're in the school. And their mental health. You just had that email go out today about improving mental health and mental health awareness. And I really appreciate that. And just, I can't explain how much better my own personal children's mental health is when they're in school. So if there are things that this board and the principals and administration can do to help our kids get into school more, there are a lot of smart people in this room. I bet we can come up with more creative ideas as well. We as parents would really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your comments. Is there anyone else in the room who would like to make a public comment?
Hi, can you guys hear me? I'll use my cheer coach voice, Shelley. My name is Chris Rush. I'm a parent of two current North students, a sophomore and a senior, and I have a graduate from 2019. I know you're all aware of the email that I sent to all of you earlier, or last Friday. But before I go there, I do want to say, similarly to you, how grateful I am with the efforts and the dedication that North and the Board of Ed have made over the past 7 months, especially regarding our students getting back to school. I was truly impressed with how North was a leader in our surrounding area and stayed steadfast with their plan, regardless of the pressures and concerns facing you daily at the beginning of the year. I also want to say I don't envy the job that you all have of keeping our school open and our children and faculty safe. I applaud everything you've done in this aspect, and I know most of the community feels the same. Last Friday, I emailed the administration, the superintendent, and the board members suggestions to provide, replace, or rework activities and opportunities for our students and seniors over the homecoming weekend. I waited till last week because I had not heard anything, and what I had heard from the students and people that work within the building or in the community was that things had not been decided, things had not been decided, things had not been decided. So at the PAC meeting last week that I was on virtually, I asked, and that was when I heard first Thursday that things were not going to be happening. I then emailed all of you my ideas. One was asking underclassmen football players, cheerleaders, and band members to forego 1 or 2 of the tickets for their homecoming game in order to potentially get interested seniors to one game this year. Another, Central, Del Val, and Warren Hills, FYI, for anyone who's not aware, have made tickets available for purchase to either spectators and or students. And I'm just really unclear as to how we at North can't figure something out for our seniors to get them to a minimum of 1 home game. I offered the idea of holding a mini parade through the town of Clinton, which would include the band, the senior fall athletes, the cheerleaders, and the homecoming court, either on Saturday or Sunday of homecoming weekend. I even reached out to the mayor of Clinton. I thought of the idea of still holding some type of outdoor pep rally on Friday, the 23rd, either at the end of the school day or immediately after school. And the students who were present in school would be able to be outside socially distanced in the bleachers on both sides of the field, while the rest would be virtual online, live streamed at home. While I can understand that planning for any of these events would take time and energy to, of course, be safe, I believed we could pull something off. And I know that had the adequate time been given to us as a community, I think we could have figured at least one of those things out for our kids, at least. But I made my plea in that email to you, and now I'm here to ask you to consider something else. And if you'll just give me your ear and just remember this phrase throughout my story. Don't let circumstance paralyze you. Just remember that. When I was 18, I broke my back in a gymnastics accident. I was paralyzed from the chest down. I was told by every doctor I'd never walk again. I decided I would focus on what I could do instead of what I couldn't. So I embraced my independence in a wheelchair until I started to be able to move my legs again. Then I was told, get comfortable walking short distances with canes and braces. So again, I embraced my canes and braces and began planning how I would be able to live away at college in my new body. Until I started to get rid of one cane and one brace at a time, and finally was device-free before I finally left for college 1 year after my accident. I went on like that for years. You won't be able to go away to college. I spent 4.5 years there getting a teaching degree. You won't be able to stand all day and teach. I taught successfully for 5 years while working a part-time job at night and coaching multiple sports. Well, you won't be able to ever have kids. I have 3, and a significant amount of other children that have come into my life over the years. The list goes on and on. There were a million you won'ts, you can'ts, and you'll nevers over the course of my life. None of them have mattered, except I chose to not allow them to define what I could do. I am still daily choosing to focus on what I can do as opposed to what I can't, because I don't know how to live any other way. This is probably the reason why many of you who have experienced me over the course of our time here in Clinton Township in 15 years find me to be a big nudge at times. I embrace that. I implore you as a district, do not fall prey to what we can't do. It is a slippery slope and one that not many people can climb out of once they chose that as their path or focus. If you feel that you have enough on your plate keeping our schools open and our communities safe, then please allow those of us who want to help to help. You've done so much for our kids. Let us help you help them have options beyond a computer screen and a classroom with 3 to 5 students in it. If you are going to cancel events, take away opportunities, postpone activities, please replace them with creative outcomes, creative options. If you need help coming up with those ideas or getting these things done, please reach out for help. Please don't wait until days before to tell everyone, sorry kids, we can't do it. We are North. I know I've got 30, not even 5 seconds. That means something to me, and every day I find myself choosing to make things happen for my family, my friends, my community, this school, and these students. We are in this together. Our children are watching us. They see us and how we're reacting to this life-changing situation and what we're choosing to do or not do. Please, please, please don't let circumstance paralyze you. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments. Appreciate it. Is there anyone else in the room who would like to have a chance for public comment? Seeing none, we'll turn to the virtual public comment. So I'm going to admit people that are waiting. So Kristen Barkman, Kristen Barkman, you've been admitted to the meeting. If you could unmute your microphone. All right, we're admitting Ken and Amanda. I'm also admitting Cindy Harper. All right. So Ken and Amanda, if you'd like to make a public comment, please unmute your microphone. There, okay, I see the microphone and it's unmuted. Ken and Amanda, if you could just state your name and your address, and then you can make your public comment. Ken and
Hi,
Amanda.
this is Amanda Joey. I seem to have some sort of a delay. You'll have to forgive me.
No worries. If you could just state your address, and then you can feel free to make your comments.
Okay, I live at I have 3 children currently going to freshman and a junior. And I just have to say, this is Avalon. I have the same as opposed to virtual. Definitely helps my children both academically and just as overall. It gets me so upset, the same thing, to see my children actually losing a lot of their drive. My children need almost the competition of being in the classroom and the support from their teachers to fully excel. And it's very hard to watch them slowly deteriorate. I have children that have been high level in academics that have definitely been suffering from staying home. I have friends how much better they do when they are in person as opposed to virtual. I would do anything I could to try to get them in the classroom, and I believe as a community we would all try to do what most of us, those who elected to put our children in virtual in person, would do everything we can to keep the risks down, but keep promoting the well-being of our children, because not everybody's made to be virtually, and some of us just have children that need to have that peer-to-peer contact more than looking at a computer all day, especially with having 2 freshman boys specifically playing enough video games as it is on their computer. I really like to try to get them away from the computer these days as much as possible, up and active. So I support what she was saying. Thank you.
All right, thank you for your comment. Appreciate it. And we have one additional person who dialed in via telephone, and the telephone number ends in 4549. So if you dialed in via telephone and your number ends in 4549, if you could unmute your line and make your comment.
Hello.
I see that your line is,
Can you hear me?
Your line is unmuted, yes, and then feel free to make your comment. Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, my name is Daniel Weiss, and I live at 455 West Hill Road. And I do have a son, Jacob, who's a freshman. He is a relatively good student, and but I do think he would really blossom a lot more if he was back in school. I'm really not worried about his academics that much. I'm more worried about the lack of social interaction with other students, and basically what that could have to do with his development. And basically, I support those who support going back to school in person. And basically that's it. I thank you for letting us participate.
All right, thank you for your comments and thanks for waiting. And we appreciate you hanging on while we got the technical issue. All right, any last call for public comment? I see no one else in queue in the virtual waiting room, and I see no one standing at the podium. So with that, we will close public comment, technical issues straightened out. And move on to the next item on the agenda, which is going to need a motion and a second to approve agenda items 9.1 through 11.9. I have a motion, please. Motion by Roger, second. Second by Heather. All right, any discussion on 9.1 through 11.9?
Yes, Rob, I need to abstain from 11.9 and 11.5.
All right, Shelley abstaining from 11.9 and 11.5. Any other discussion or identifying? That's Rachel.
I also have to abstain from 11.9.
Deb Bonomi does also. 11.9 only.
You were breaking up just 11.9 or 11.5 also?
Rob, I do too.
Only 11.9 for the training.
Jess, you do too.
I have to also.
Deb.
I said it already.
Thank you, Deb. Sorry, my connection's not breaking up. So I'm missing. All right, any other just 9.1 through 11.9? All right, seeing none, we need a voice
Aye.
vote. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? And we've already extensions. All right, thank you. Motion carries. We'll now move on to item number 12, which is our opportunity to discuss old or raise new business. Anyone have old or new business to discuss? Rachel.
I just wanted to let everyone know that the Hunterdon County School Boards Association had their meeting last week. The executive director of the New Jersey School Boards Association, Dr. Larry Feinstein, was a guest, along with 3 superintendents from Hunterdon County. Superintendents from Highbridge, Flemington, Rare, and East Amwell all shared how they're handling the pandemic challenges. In addition to that, the New Jersey School Boards Association is having a student film. It is a contest actually for students who are interested in creating a hometown documentary short. The submissions are due January 8th for the 2021 Garden State Film Festival. So if I send this to Marin, can we send this out to both schools so they have an opportunity to participate? Great, thank you.
All right, anyone else have old or new business
I'll go again.
to discuss? How about it?
I know that the bathrooms are complete now in the buildings. What's the long-range facility plan for fixing the bathroom by the stadium? I guess that goes to Katie, is my question.
That is one of the areas that we're looking at right now as we're touring the buildings, adding that to the long-range facility plan. So that's going to be for the Finance Committee next month.
One more. I saw the email about the spirit wear for the North Hunterdon logo. So I wanted to know like how we created that. Did that come through committee? Where did we come up with that logo?
Maren, do you want to talk about that, or Tara? I know that was discussed at the community relations meeting.
Sure, I can chime in real quick. We worked with a designer to try to come up with something that really represented the district, getting away from mascots, which is more sports related. And we used an outside designer. There was a few people that looked through the logo design, and then we narrowed it down and had the district staff vote on which logo they preferred better. And then we did share that with community relations. And again, that's just the district logo. We're not talking school logo.
And Tara, if you could just repeat your.
Oh, yeah, it had gone to committee last year and then they went out to just have the designers and then they implemented it last month was the implementation of it, Mary?
Yeah, we started switching over last month.
Okay.
Thank you, Maren.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Yes. Hi. That's Grace, right?
Yeah. Hi, I'm Grace.
All right, Grace.
Issue that I kind of have been seeing is the lack of structure with after-school meetings. I've noticed most kids rely on the announcements after school, but if you're all virtual, people are having trouble making their meetings and also being able to get home in time to participate in them. And one of the big problems that has actually been a term now is Zoom driving, which is a lot of people are joining their Zoom calls and driving while being in a meeting. And it's kind of become a big problem and has even made its own term now, which is a little bit problematic. And one thing that I was wondering if we could do is create some sort of like a calendar for all of the clubs and activities where you can go and see what things you need to participate in, because I noticed a lot of people were having trouble being able to find the information for that.
Great, thank you. That's a good suggestion. And so I think I see a lot of administrators nodding their heads and typing notes. So that's a good suggestion. So thank you. And I expect we'll see some feedback on that. You'll probably see it before we do, but and I'm sure we'll hear about it at the meeting next month. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right, and
Just reminded me when they were speaking, are we going to have
Rachel?
a section where they can
Yes.
report out every month at the meeting if they, what's happening in their schools? It's something that I've seen done in other high schools, and I think it would be a great addition. Like that was wonderful feedback. Thank you for sharing that.
Maybe during maybe when we do the committee meetings, they could report out.
It's actually going to be before the president and the chief school administrator. We're going to mimic what Bridgewater and has their agenda set up that way.
Fabulous. Thanks.
Thank you.
Great to have you guys.
already adding value. All right, any other new business or old business to discuss? Seeing none. One more. That's Emma.
Yep, that's me. Okay. Hi.
Hi, Emma.
So a couple things that I wanted to talk about. Yesterday I sent out a poll to the to about 300 of our senior class members, and I got about 60 responses. And the question really was just an open-ended, how do you think your courses are? Because in the past couple of weeks, I've heard of a lot of feedback that students are feel like they're overworked or they're overwhelmed. They don't have time to figure out their schedule to go from 4 hours in class when they were used to having like 6 to 7 hours, and teachers are cramming everything in. I know for me personally, about 20 minutes of my psychology class is spent figuring out the Zoom, getting the presentation on the Zoom in the classroom and everything like that. Unlike Grace, I don't exactly have a solution to that. I just feel like I wanted to raise awareness to you guys that it's becoming a large weight on the student body's shoulders, that they feel like they are trying to keep up, and instead of actively learning and grasping new concepts, they feel like they're just getting the completion grade and trying to reach a certain expectation. And a lot of the feedback that I got on that survey had a lot of issues with the way that classes were constructed. And I think it's very easy to point the finger at the teachers and be like, oh, this is their fault, they need to be more organized. But I think a lot of that really just stems from the expectations that the teachers are having in terms of having all of their students prepared for the final exam at the end of the marking period or the end of the grade or the semester, whatever it may be. And to keep the same expectation that they would have on a normal school year, you know? The circumstances of this year obviously are very different. And I think one thing that I would just hope that you guys would think about is in terms of the student body, to recognize that things are changing, we might need to change our expectations for the class, for all 4 classes too, to kind of accommodate that, because a lot of students are feeling a lot of pressure. And it's pretty much all you hear anymore. Like the report that Mrs. McLaughlin reported that 30% are all virtual. I'm sure if you checked the attendance, you would see that only 2 to 3 people are in their classes, because the people in hybrid are deciding to just stay at home like last second, because they don't want to be in class with just their teacher. And it's not the great learning environment that it used to be, and they are having a hard time finding feedback from their teachers. But I don't want to sound like I'm complaining, because we know that this is a very tough situation for everybody. And there's not really one simple solution to all of that. I just wanted to put it out there in the air that this is something that the student body is at least a little frustrated with. So thank you.
Thank you. That's good feedback and important feedback to hear. So thank you. All right, any additional old or new business?
I have something to add on to what Emma said. So the course load, as we know, is different, but also there's a deficit between the AM day schedule and the PM day schedule. I think that really needs to be accounted for, because in certain classes, they're on different days. So for one block, it might be on AM day, and one block might be on PM day. And so in one certain class, it'll be crammed to fit in extra information, and the other class, it'll be slowed down. So that deficit needs to be accounted for by the teachers and administration, because then that could reflect in the grades that each child is receiving in the class. I don't know what the exact deficit is, but I think it's like 4 or 5 class period difference. And especially in like a heavy course, like an honors or AP class, that can really affect the performance of the child.
And I kind of just wanted to add one thing on top of what she just said. I realized I didn't include an example of the over expectations that are set on the students. One example that I know is of a French class that is having required classes outside of the 4 hours set in the morning, and is requiring that teachers or that students attend the Zoom class. Another example is for me in my calculus class, I'm getting assignments every day, even if we don't have a class that day. And I just know that a lot of the students just can't keep up with that.
Okay, thank you for that. And Corinne, I don't know if it was just me or if it was everybody, but a lot of your comments I wasn't hearing. So I don't know if it was just me. Good. All right. So I'll listen to it on the playback. Thank you for your feedback though. And I'm sorry I wasn't able to hear it directly. Okay. Well, thanks guys for your input. We appreciate it. And we look forward to your continued input going forward. Anyone else have any new business to raise? Seeing none, we'll move on to executive session. I'll need a motion and a second to adopt the resolution for executive session. Whereas Section 7 of the Open Public Meetings Act, NJSA 10-412, authorizes a public body to exclude the public from that portion of a meeting at which the school board discusses topics falling within certain specified exemptions to the requirement for open public meetings. And whereas the matters to be discussed fall within one or more of those exceptions, now therefore it resolved that the Voorhees Regional High School District now, for the purpose of discussing the following: personnel matters, recommendations for appointments, separations, changes in salary, changes in assignment, and leaves of absence, pending and threatened litigation, and matters falling within the attorney-client privilege, and the executive session meeting, the executive session minutes from September 22nd,
I so move.
2020. Can I have a motion, please? Motion by Shelley and a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? We're in executive session. to reconvene public session. Motion, please. Motion by Tom. Second by Rachel. Second by Rachel. Motion by Tom. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? All right, we are back in public session. Can we have, is there any new business to discuss?
I got one more. Just we used to have a docket where we would keep track of public comment and how it was addressed, and I was having trouble finding that. Do we still have that document? Could you tell me where I could find it?
I don't know off the top of my head, but I'll get the link sent to you.
Okay, thanks.
All right, seeing no further new business, can I get a motion and a second to approve agenda item 16.1 through 16.2? I need a motion.
So moved.
Motion by Tara, second please. Second by Kim.
Thanks, Tom.
Second by Kim.
I was.
Any discussion? All right. We need a roll call vote.
Ms. Bonomi?
Yes.
Ms. Salino?
Yes.
Mr. Roll?
Yes.
Ms. Dietrich?
Yes.
Ms. Crisologo?
Yes.
Mr. Mielek?
Yes.
Ms. Hintz?
Yes.
Ms. Vioto?
Yes.
Mr. Straight?
Yes.
Ms. Richards?
Yes.
Ms. McLaughlin?
Yes.
Mr. Kirchberger?
Yes. Motion carries. And
Motion
now
to
can I
adjourn.
get a motion and a second to adjourn? Motion by Roger, second by
Aye.
John. All in favor? We are adjourned. Opposed?
Aye.
Abstentions? We are adjourned. Thank you very much.